Look, I don't know if this will offend you, but it needs to be said. There's a painful contradiction happening inside you right now. You have big dreams, enormous ambitions, a clear vision of what you want to become. You spend hours imagining your ideal life, planning, fantasizing about success, about recognition, about achieving extraordinary things. But when it comes time to actually do it, when it comes time to execute, you don't lift a finger. You procrastinate, you make excuses.
You postpone, and this dissonance between what you want and what you do is destroying you from the inside. You know that horrible feeling at the end of the day when you realize you haven't done anything productive? That weight in your stomach, that voice in your head calling you a failure, that guilt that tightens your chest, but that you've already forgotten tomorrow and it all repeats itself. It's a brutal, vicious cycle.
You're ambitious enough to feel bad for doing nothing, but too lazy to actually change. And the worst part is that the people around you don't understand. They see you relaxing, procrastinating, doing the bare minimum, and they think you lack drive, that you don't want anything out of life. But inside you're screaming. You want so much. You have fire. You have desire. You have this constant restlessness that you should be doing more, being more, achieving more. But something is holding you back. Something is sabotaging you, and you can't understand what it is. I experienced this hell firsthand. For years, I lived in this torturous contradiction. I had clear goals. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I considered myself someone with potential, ambition, and ability. But my execution was pathetic. I woke up late. I spent hours on social media. I started tasks and abandoned them halfway through. I always chose the easiest, most comfortable, most pleasurable option at the moment. And deep down in my mind, there was this constant voice saying, "You're wasting your life. You're wasting your life. You're wasting your life." And I tried to motivate myself. I watched inspirational videos. I read quotes from successful people. I made grand promises to myself. Today I'm turning the tables. From now on, everything changes. And it worked for a few hours, sometimes even for a whole day. And then the motivation evaporated, and I went back to the same patterns. And the guilt only grew. Because I knew I was capable of more, but I wasn't doing it. Until I discovered something that completely changed how I understood my problem. And when I understood it, when it really clicked, it was like someone had turned on the light in a room where I had stumbled in the dark for years. Suddenly, everything made sense. Why I was lazy despite being ambitious. Why motivation never worked. And more importantly, what I needed to do to finally break this pattern. Here's the truth. You're not lazy. Laziness doesn't exist in the way you think. What you call laziness is actually a combination of three specific things: a lack of real clarity, a broken reward system, and a complete absence of external structure. And until you understand and fix these three things, you'll remain trapped in this cycle of ambition without execution. Let me explain each one. First, a lack of real clarity. You think you have clarity because you know what you want. I want to be rich. I want to be in shape. I want to be successful. But that's not clarity. That's vague fantasy. Real clarity is when you know exactly what the next specific and concrete action is that you need to take right now, today, at this very moment. And you don't have that. Your brain hates ambiguity. When you think, "I'm going to work on my project," that's too vague. Your brain doesn't know where to start, so it chooses to do anything else that's clearer and more immediate. Checking your phone is clear. Watching a series is clear. Eating is clear. Working on the project is nebulous, so it avoids it. But when you have brutal clarity, like, "I'm going to write 500 words of chapter 2, or "I'm going to make 10 prospecting calls, or "I'm going to train chest and triceps for 45 minutes, suddenly the task becomes concrete. Your brain knows exactly what to do, and resistance decreases drastically. So the first problem keeping you lazy is that your ambition is clear, but your actions are not. You know the destination, but you don't know the next step. And without knowing the specific next step, your brain will always choose the path of least resistance, which is doing nothing. Secondly, the reward system is broken. Your brain works through dopamine. Every time you do something that gives you immediate pleasure, your brain releases dopamine, and you want to do it again. Social media, delicious food, pornography, games, TV series, all of this is designed to give you huge dopamine spikes with zero effort, and you have unlimited access to all of it. The problem is that when you have easy access to artificial dopamine constantly, activities that provide real but delayed rewards cease to be attractive. Working on your business will reward you, but in 6 months, a year. Studying will reward you, but only after you apply the knowledge. Training will reward you, but only after weeks of consistency. Compared to the instant dopamine rush you get when you open Instagram, your brain chooses Instagram every time. It's not a lack of willpower. It's not moral laziness. It's neurobiology. You've addicted your brain to instant gratification, and now it can no longer motivate itself for delayed gratification, even when it's much greater and more meaningful. And the more you resort to these easy sources of dopamine, the more broken your system becomes. You need higher doses to feel the same effect, and important tasks that require effort seem increasingly impossible because the difference between the effort involved and the immediate pleasure you get has become enormous. Thirdly, a total absence of external structure. Ambition without structure is just fantasy. You have the will, but no system. You rely on motivation instead of relying on the environment, and motivation is a finite resource that runs out. Environment is permanent and carries you when you lack the will. People who consistently execute aren't more motivated than you. They've simply created structures that make action the default option and procrastination difficult. They don't rely on willpower. They designed the environment to work for them, not against them. But you probably don't have any real structure. You wake up without a set schedule, you have no routine, your environment is full of distractions, your cell phone is always within reach, you don't have external commitments that force you to do things. You rely entirely on internal motivation to get things done, and when it doesn't appear, you do nothing. So here's what's happening. You're ambitious, so you want a lot. But you lack specific clarity about the next step, so you don't know where to begin. Your dopamine system is broken by excessive instant gratification, so important tasks seem impossible. And you lack external structure to force you to act even when you don't feel like it. The result? Immense ambition, zero execution, and endless guilt. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to fix each of these three things. And when you fix them, when you actually implement this, you'll become unstoppable. Because your ambition will still be there, but now it will be connected to real action. First, create brutal clarity. Take your ambitious goal and break it down into microscopic actions. I don't want to write a book. Today at 9 in the morning, I'm going to write 500 words of Chapter 1 for 45 uninterrupted minutes. See the difference? The second version is so specific that there's no way you won't know what to do. Do this with everything. Every big goal becomes a sequence of tiny specific actions with set times, and you schedule these actions on your calendar as if they were non-negotiable meetings. 9 in the morning, write. 6 in the afternoon, train. 8 at night, study. Each block with a specific task, defined time, measurable result. And here's the trick. The task needs to be small enough that the resistance is minimal. I'm not going to train for an hour. I'm going to put on my sneakers and leave the house. That's so easy, you have no excuse. And once you start, inertia carries you. But you don't think about it. You just focus on the smallest possible action to begin. Second, it resets your dopamine system. And this will hurt, but it's absolutely necessary. You need to do a dopamine detox. For 1 week, you cut out all sources of artificial instant gratification. No social media, no pornography, no games, no TV series, no YouTube for entertainment, no ultra-processed food. Nothing that gives you easy pleasure. In the first few days, you'll experience literal withdrawal. You'll be bored, anxious, irritable. Your brain will crave dopamine. That's good. It's a sign that the reset is working. You can handle it. And after a few days, something magical happens. Simple activities start to become enjoyable again. Reading a book becomes interesting. Walking becomes pleasant. Working on a project becomes engaging. Your brain has recalibrated. Now it can derive pleasure from normal activities because you've stopped bombarding it with artificial overstimulation. And after this reset, you can reintroduce some things, but in a controlled way. Social media for only 15 minutes a day at a specific time. Series only on weekends. You create strict rules and stick to them. Because if you go back to unlimited access, you break your system again and revert to a state of laziness. So you protect your dopamine system as if your life depended on it, because it does. Third, build an inescapable external structure. Stop relying on motivation. Create systems and environments that force you to act. First, the physical environment. Remove all distractions from your workspace. Cell phone in another room. Internet blocked during work hours. Only the tools necessary for the task at hand. Second, make public commitments. Tell others what you're going to do and when. Even better, find someone who also has goals and you report back to each other daily. You don't want to disappoint anyone, so you do it even when you don't feel like it. Third, real-world consequences. Make a bet with a friend. If you don't meet your daily goal, you pay him 50 reais. Money hurts. The pain of losing money will motivate you much more than any inspirational speech. Fourth, Make progress visible. Take a large calendar, stick it on the wall, and mark an X every day you complete your task. The growing chain of X becomes your motivation. You don't want to break the chain. That's visual structure that works. Fifth, non-negotiable rituals. Create a specific morning routine that puts you in execution mode. It could be waking up, drinking water, doing 50 push-ups, a cold shower, sitting at your work desk, always in the same order, always at the same time. It becomes automatic.
And when it becomes automatic, you'll no longer depend on motivation. Now, here's what will happen when you implement these 3 corrections. For the first few weeks, it will be war. Your brain will resist violently. It will create 1,000 excuses. It will try to convince you to revert to old patterns. You will feel discomfort, boredom, frustration. This is normal. It's necessary. It's the price of transformation. But if you persevere, if you don't give in, something fundamental changes.
You start to execute consistently. Small actions every day. And these small actions create small results. And these small results create confidence. And this confidence creates more action. And it becomes a positive, self-perpetuating cycle. And suddenly you look 3 months later and you've become a different person. You're still ambitious, but now you're productive too. Your dreams are connected to real actions. You're no longer that guy full of potential who never does anything. You're someone who executes, who delivers, who transforms ambition into reality. So here's the straightforward challenge. Choose a goal you've been talking about for months but haven't done anything about. Apply the 3 fixes now. Define the smallest, most specific action possible to take the first step. Schedule it for tomorrow morning at the exact time. Start your dopamine detox today, cutting out all artificial instant gratifications.
And create a structure. It can be as simple as marking an X on the calendar every day you complete the task and telling a friend who will hold you accountable. And then you do it. Tomorrow morning, at the time you set, you do that small action. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if you want to. You do it because you've created a structure that compels you. And you do it again the next day, and the next, and the next. And if you do that, if you really apply it for 30 days straight, you'll break the cycle. You'll stop being ambitious but lazy. You'll become ambitious and unstoppable. And that version of you, that version that consistently executes, is the version that truly achieves the things you only fantasized about achieving. If this video gave you the tools you needed to finally connect your ambition with real action, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel because I bring content like this every week. Practical strategies that really work. And comment below telling me what goal you're going to start working towards using these 3 fixes. Your ambition is real. Your potential is real. The only thing missing was the right system. Now you have the system. The rest is up to you. Execute. See you next time.